Welcome back to the episode. Just want to send a friendly reminder, like, comment, and subscribe is greatly appreciated. Today is September 10th. We're coming off a tough sports weekend. It's been a little while since we've had Michigan and the Lions kind of, not play very well on the same weekend. Kind of a tough start to the season for the Lions. Michigan had a, strong start against Mexico, but had a tough game out in Oklahoma. So we'll touch on both of those. And then also touch on Michigan playing Central Michigan and this upcoming weekend. And then the Lions got Benedict Johnson rolling in. So definitely talk on that a little bit. No, I think to just kick it off, I want to talk about that Oklahoma game. Final score was 24-13 Oklahoma. Um, you know, got some things to clean up here in the coming weeks, figure out some stuff. But yeah, I just want to kick it over to you and just see your thoughts on what you saw on Saturday from Michigan.
Yeah, I think it was one of the. Yeah, I think we had a few games like this last year where it was just frustrating to watch from an
Hmm.
offensive standpoint. Last year primarily was the passing game. We would struggle with the passing game, and the run game would struggle because we had no passing game.
Hmm.
This was a bit of a different experience. I feel like we just couldn't express our dominance like we have in typical years. I understand the O line is thin anyway, as far as just depth and quality players like Big Ten type players we could throw out there. I don't think it's a major injury, but was it Link? I think Link went down, or somebody went down in the game as well. So we were down another lineman on top of not getting a lot of push.
El Hadi.
Yeah, El Hadi, that's who it was. El Hadi went down. Big vet that's been in there. I feel like he's been on that line for 5 years at this point in time. But big boy who knows what he's doing, quality Big Ten player, and it just losing him, not having the depth, was a big problem. Not being
Yeah.
able to establish that run, I think, kind of threw the offensive cadence out of question a little bit. And then from a defensive standpoint, or sorry, speak on defense in a minute. And then from a passing standpoint, I think we're both going to speak on this, but we just need to open it up a little bit, man. We gotta, we paid for the supercharger engine. We don't have, the go kart no more. We can go ahead and trade. We can go ahead and see what we can do. So defensive wise, I'll sum it up to being wrapping up, getting the ball, getting quarterback down on the ground. A guy that shifty's kind of always been our Achilles heel, dating back to Vince Young, on up to present day. So overall, though, an 11-point loss on the road, that type of environment, and I do think they are a pretty solid SEC team. We'll finish on the
Hmm.
top of that pack in the SEC. So, you know, definitely gives us some things to work on, but I don't think it's like panic mode by no means at all. I think you just have to kind of get back to the basics in this central game coming up here.
For sure. Yeah. No, I think I think overall it really came down to 8 to 10 plays. So I feel like, both sides of the ball, they obviously got some stuff to clean up. I mean, you hit it on the head on offense. You got to just figure out what our identity is going to be. You got to adapt to what this old line is going to look like. We got to let Bryce operate a little bit more. And I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of those things where feel like I was watching that game on Saturday. I'm just like, okay, yeah, he is a freshman. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just kind of like some parts where it's just like you got that red zone a couple times, checked to the wrong play, missed McCulley, McCulley open a second time. Just looked a little uncomfortable, which is expected.
Yeah,
I think he handled it. I mean, I think he handled himself well, found a way to not, didn't turn the ball over, stuff like that. I think the defense, like you said, you hit it on the head. I think defense really was tackling. They held in there though too, though. They weren't offense didn't really do them any favors. Couldn't really sustain many drives, but I think they did a great job of just they pretty much took the running backs out of the game
yes,
to where, Mateer just was kind of having to run the ball and throw the ball for him. So like, I mean but
yeah. They
yeah,
put
they
it
were
all on that kid's shoulders, where he,
yeah. And he
you
had
know,
I mean, that was a pretty heroic effort on his part. You
it
gotta tip
was.
the cap, give him credit. But yeah, I mean, I think I look at like about 4 or 5 plays on defense, like Brandon Hillman coming in too high, too fast on the sack. Another safety missed a sack, if I'm not mistaken. They could have got him in the backfield. Jair Hill, he dropped an interception.
Yep.
Zeke Berry had one like, I don't know, bounced off the back of his helmet. So I'm just kind of like, you play that's tougher, but you play that differently. We was able to turn them over a couple times, like held up on defense pretty well. There's a couple things that just kind of didn't go our way that kind of opened things up
And I
more.
think I'm looking here at the just kind of the team stats as a whole. They were 9 of 17 from third down. So we got them off the field an okay amount. 17, I
Hmm.
feel like is or 9 of 17, I feel like is you're holding it down, but I feel like they got it, especially that last drive, just strategic. They were just milking the clock, and it felt like
Yeah,
type of team. I haven't seen the team just kind of impose their will on Michigan like that in a while. Where
it's our own
we,
medicine.
yeah, some of our exactly. Like when's the last time an 8 minute drive has happened on Michigan? Like, and that ended in a field goal, I believe, right too. So just
Yeah.
Michigan football, if I've never seen it, and it was, yeah, I agree with you. But some of those third downs, what I was going to say is it was just missed tackles.
Hmm.
We may we bust through the line, get the quarterback on his feet. He kind of carousels out of it
Yeah.
and kind of sprinkles down. He hits open receiver, or he just ducks his shoulder and get a couple extra yards. And I think that was kind of the name of the game. And it was very frustrating to watch from that point of view. But uh, I said too before we hopped on, even well into that last drive they had that ball, I thought a miracle would happen. I'm like, this guy's played too clean of a game. He's going to try to spin out of here and drop that ball. He's going to force it in, trying to get a couple extra yards, and we never got that break that we were really looking for. Um, and you mentioned earlier just the communication errors with the receivers, all things I'm looking forward to just continuing to clean up as we head into the next week here for Central.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, we don't want to disrespect Central. We love Chippewas here, but hopefully a game where you can kind of get a lot of things corrected, get a lot of things, get your confidence back in the O line, get your confidence back in
Mhm.
that quarterback, and just really impose your will on them. The way I look at it is I want to see somewhere around let's say 225 passing, 200 rushing, and the starters are out. Hopefully, not playing in the fourth quarter. And I think that'd be a good victory. And just kind of sound defense, making sure we're not just, letting up stupid plays. And, they might get a couple touchdown or two here, but, we were soundly handling it. That's what I'm looking forward to as we got Nebraska coming, or I think we go into Nebraska the week after, and then we right back to the thick of it here. So,
Yeah. No, you hit on the head there. The one thing I'll share with yeah, no, I think just talking a little bit about CMU. One thing interesting about them, they played three quarterbacks the last couple games. One throws, one also throws but can run, and then one I think just kind of like I don't really know what he does exactly, but I did see that, notice that. So that's
that's
something
interesting.
interesting to kind of just watch. They're going to be seeing just maybe some different styles of quarterbacks coming in and out the game. But I'm with you. I think you got to go and find what your identity is. I think hell up to the point where if you got to put 6, 7 linemen out there and you get creative from that standpoint, I think we just need to
Yep.
work a little bit more being straightforward on offense, north and south. I don't screen game, not crazy about it. I think we just got to work. We got to focus on just getting back to the basics against CMU.
Yeah.
Everybody back in sync, squared away. Then going down to Nebraska for it's going to be that's one game we got to go kind of get now if we already dropped the
Yes.
Oklahoma game. So that's one that you got to go get. I think we can go get, but I think we got to just simplify things a little bit. Let Bryce rock out. You know what I'm saying? But I think just like establish that identity, like Michigan football
Yes.
this
No, I
week.
think you're spot on with that because it's the Big Ten schedule sneaks up on you quick.
Yeah,
And obviously it's a different lay of land where a loss doesn't necessarily get you out of it, but you don't want to stack up too many of those, especially against teams like Oklahoma, which I think was a beatable game. We, different,
yeah,
even at home, maybe I think the needle that might be the swing or two we need where, so, you know, the Central Michigan thing is weird. They say if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. I don't know what they say if you have
yeah.
three.
I don't
So,
know.
but
Yeah,
no, so in general, I guess we don't want to harper too much on that, but I think we just try to just get back to the fundamentals a little bit. Use this as a cleanup game and try to establish some rhythm as what type of passes he likes I agree with you. I would dump the screen game a little more, get rid of that, I guess, a little, do it less frequently, and just kind of roll the pocket. I think rolling the pocket, getting him out on the edge where you have a one or two receiver check, and if not, you duck your shoulder and get 3, 4, 5 yards, and let's keep it moving. But no,
Sure.
for the central game, um, I think I feel healthy with, let's call it a let's call it 40, 9, 40, 45, 14, 45, 10. Yeah.
I'll do like 38-13.
Yeah. I
I
like
think
that.
they'll score on some fluke shit and just, get a couple field goals. But I think we'll reestablish ourselves. I think Haynes having a big day, get Marshall going. More importantly, get Bryce, get his confidence back up, get going, get him more comfortable. And yeah, heading out to
Mhm.
Nebraska weekend, heading out to Omaha, Nebraska next week after that.
For sure.
So, but yeah, no, we'll turn the page here. Talk about our Lions. It's, do a quick little synopsis just on that Packers game, have some time to digest it. Before talking about the Bears. Yeah, I think with this one, now if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and just kind of start this one off. I feel like this one was a little more concerning. I think what was kind of tough about what happened with our Lions was really like, I mean, I get it, road game, division games, kind of it's kind of getting jumped on. That was kind of tough to just kind of see it unwind like that to where defense never looked comfortable, offense never looked comfortable, and then before you knew it was too late. Um, yeah, and they're gonna have to do, it's a little bit of soul searching. They have to figure out some stuff on that defense. I think we just got to have Hutch and Davenport rushing. We got to just get them into a rhythm again after that passer. They both coming off injuries, so they both a little rusty, So we both, we got to get them
Yeah.
back going. We got to get the offense back right. And I do think, I've said it a couple times before we jumped on. I think Ratledge is gonna get it together. I think, he's watching himself in film. I'm sure Dan Campbell been in there looking at him like, bro,
On his
what were you
ass. Yeah.
doing? Just like he gonna get the guys right. We ain't lost, back-to-back games in a very long time. Um, so I feel like he's gonna have the guys back ready, but there's a lot of that needs to be cleaned up, nothing needs to be looked at, and it starts with the trenches, in my opinion. And I think just some tweaks on what you're calling and the play calling, especially on defense, I think that'll help just with getting after Caleb and such this upcoming weekend.
Yeah. I think the defense is more to write home about than the offense. And I think, at least right now, like I feel like the defense, Hutch is going to wake it back up. Um, Different scenario. Kirby Joseph gets that interception, or not
Yeah,
Kirby, but Brian Branch gets that
Brian
interception.
Branch and Anzalone catch that one.
Anzalone, So I think those type of things, Hutch is not going to have a game where we just don't know where he is for the whole game again. Yeah, I think he just is
Hmm.
getting back out there. And so I said to say I feel fairly confident in a lot of things that the defense did. Secondary, some question marks. Terry on Arnold, they were single handedly picking on him. He gave up on his own 2 plays, 80 yards in like 38 seconds. It That was like a walkthrough type thing. So I think there
Yeah.
are some question marks there, but I think some of our questions will get answered quicker on the defense. O line slash just entire game plan from the offense. It makes me question John Morton. I brought it up a couple of times heading throughout the summer as far as if Ben Johnson was the real mastermind or is it kind of stuck at home? And I just think that was not a good first showing by no means at all.
Yeah.
So I guess some of the things I have on here, just a couple of the notes I wrote. Jared Goff is a bottom 10 quarterback with no offensive line. If we don't have a real offensive line around him, he is going to regress very, very, very quickly. Um, we just didn't spend the money this summer. We have a lot of 1 year deals. Kevin Zeitler, I think we miss him a lot. I don't think that's the guy that we talked about enough as far as just where whether we should have re-signed him or let him go. He ended up at the Tennessee Titans. I read a couple articles that it was over like $1.5 million. So I think you look at $1.5 million from him and $3 million difference from Jazarius Smith. I think those are two players that in a 1 year deals, I would have felt very comfortable bringing them back in. I'm not saying break the bank for them, but just some little questions that makes me wonder what we're doing. And unlike many other positions, you can't trade for a Pro Bowl quality offensive lineman in the middle of the year. Then nobody's giving those up. You can go find a Pro Bowl type receiver. You can go find a Pro Bowl type defensive end. You're not going to find a Pro Bowl caliber guard center in the middle of the season. So I think we're who we have here is probably the shell of what we're going to have until the draft, free agency next year. Um, and that just makes me kind of gives me antsy about golf. And then the last thing I'll say about it is just the run game just looked bad. Now I understand you pop one run, those make those numbers look that much better. But I think we averaged like 2.5 yards a carry or something.
Yeah, and it's
And
tough till you
Jared
get
Goff
down
averaged,
14 zip.
yeah.
So you
And
can't
Jared
really
Goff
run it how
averaged
you
three
want to.
point 3.1 air yards per throw. So we were
Mhm.
throwing right at the line of scrimmage. It's just I don't know. It was bad, man. But
Yeah,
I just wonder if we made the right investments and what we can do to because I think we're gonna have to make it work with the guys in house, especially on the offensive line. Defensive line, you could probably go find somebody if need be. That offensive line, I think this is the unit we got. Um, and I don't know if Frank back now, you call him in a month and say, hey, here's 10 million, get you a month to get ready, and maybe, but I don't, I don't know if that's a possibility, but I don't want to.
yeah,
I'm nervous, bro. I think in general, it just didn't look good. And I don't know if we have the players here on the offensive line to ramp up quickly.
yeah. I mean, I won't. Yeah, I won't. I'm not nervous yet. I think like sometimes that first outing can just kind of division. And I don't know. I'll say this too. Like this, like I'll say it's kind of like it's the Packers Super Bowl. Just got Michael Parsons got swept by us last year. We kind of been owning them the last couple, 2, 3
Mm-hmm.
seasons. Got an opportunity to make a statement to start the game, knowing we doing some gelling, some change, some changing up in some different positions. I think I've seen plenty of great teams get jumped on
Yeah,
in
they
week
have.
one and be able to bounce back. And I think, just over time, like, yeah, I just expect Rattlers to play better. I think when he plays better, Snoop Sewell's going to play better. Mahogany's going to play better. It's going to help Decker play better. I think, in the end, Glasgow, of course, in the middle. I think they got to get another week to get them on the same page. I think we'll have just enough to be able to get past this next test we have, which is another division game. Um,
Yeah,
Against Chicago Bears, we got a familiar face on the other sideline, quarterback, or excuse me, coach. Um, they looked okay against the Vikings. I mean, they looked okay. Like,
yeah.
um, they do,
They
look
fizzled
different.
out. They started here and then just kind of stumbled
Like
into
that,
the
that
into
first, the
the
first
yeah
15, that first 15 script, like, they got up and down the field and kind of yeah, they
yeah.
couldn't put the Vikings away. Shout
Well,
out
let me ask
James.
you this because we're kind of on the clock. Got 3 minutes just so we both on the same page here. I guess I'll throw it over to you just to see this. Is it a must win?
Yeah,
Yeah.
gonna win.
Go
Like
down. Yeah. You're
guaranteed.
cheating it. You
Yeah, I'm guaranteed we gonna win this game. Yeah, for sure.
I like it. Um,
Yeah,
because just throw it out. I mean, throw it out here for devil's advocate. We lose that one. I feel very confident we'll lose to Baltimore. Cleveland kind of will lean towards winning that one. Cincy, maybe
win.
toss up, will probably lean towards
Yeah,
winning it. In Kansas City, I just feel like them. They say it's a week after week after week. Like there's no
yeah,
getting in here for the foreseeable future. Maybe you want to count Cleveland, but if that line doesn't show up, that Cleveland defense line a feast.
yeah.
So
Garrett running around, boy.
yeah, I kind of agree with you. Well, I do think it is a form of a must win. I think you don't. More importantly, you don't want to go down 0-2 in the division,
Right,
and you don't want to go down 0-2 lurking with Lamar and company.
right.
Right after. So I think that is yeah, it's a lot. But the Chicago, the way they fizzed out does give me a decent amount of hope. I mean they got JJ, but it's
Yeah,
uh
yeah.
he coming to play, bro. He looked after that pick six, he turned to a different quarterback. Um
Hmm.
uh, and obviously I'm loosely rooting for him just with the Michigan ties. But no, I think these Bears, the way they looked versus JJ at first, that was scaring me. I'm like, damn, if their defense looks like this versus what we showed up with, I'm like, that's gonna be a long week. But
Yeah.
when JJ started breaking them down and kind of maybe their version of the first scripted 15 plays and whatever. I'm sure
Hmm.
you've seen the Manning brothers talking about how they didn't know it was a man coverage and that would have confused them and and like all that. So I think they were doing some real tricky shit at the beginning. And it just all kind of fizzed out. And but no, bro, I'm not ready to write them off. I just think I thought we would come to play, bro. And
Yeah. No,
it's
I
it,
feel you. I think, yeah, and I don't know. And I think it still gives me a little bit of confidence. As ugly as it went, they still found their way to get into the red zone. Like, so you know what I'm saying? I think I mean, it's a matter of just executing on like two drives. That's a completely different game. So I think that's what gives me a little, like, as ugly as it got, they still, held. Um, Defense got better in the second half.
yep,
Offense, they, do some stuff. I know some of it, how you want to look at it, garbage time or, stuff was already out of, but they still had their guys out there. They still had Parsons getting after getting after golf, but it was like 27 to,
yeah,
24 to 3, 24 to 6. So like I think they just clean some stuff up. I think we're gonna come out of this game 27-20 Lions.
okay. I'm right there. I'm about right there with you. I'm gonna keep it close as well. I'm blue 24-20.
Okay.
Um, try to get back games, try to get some things right and weather the storm. I think they're gonna come out firing. He's gonna be fired up. Ben Johnson is, and just kind of weather the
Yeah.
storm and then on base what we got.
In the state of Michigan, we can take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Move
No,
on to
thanks.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Figure it
Only
out after
Baltimore.
that.
Yeah, you go to Baltimore 0-3.